Ambassador Chen had made many mistakes in his diplomatic career, but teaching Vulpine counselor Reixara the concept of a smirk was rapidly climbing to the top of that list. The incident occurred 3 weeks ago during the Terran-Vulpine Cultural Exchange Summit aboard the orbital station Harmony's Gate. The Vulpine Collective had been humanity's newest and most peculiar first contact. They were a species of elegant, fox-like beings whose society valued emotional honesty above all else. Their faces displayed every feeling with crystalline clarity, ears that telegraphed mood, tails that betrayed nervousness, and eyes that couldn't hide a single thought. Humans, by contrast, were masters of the unspoken. And nowhere was this more evident than in the smirk. "I don't understand," Reixara had said that fateful afternoon, her rust-colored ears tilted in confusion as they reviewed human entertainment archives. Her translator collar rendered her chittering speech into flawless Mandarin. "This human male, he appears pleased, yet his mouth does only half of the expression. Why does the female respond with increased heart rate and dilated pupils?" Chen had laughed, adjusting his diplomatic sash. "That's a smirk. It's a smile with attitude, confidence, mystery. It suggests you know something others don't. But why not simply state what you know? Because humans love a challenge," he'd explained. "Sometimes what we don't say is more powerful than what we do." Reixara's golden eyes had widened with the wonder of discovery. "Teach me." He should have said no. He should have recognized the dangerous gleam in those vulpine eyes. But he was a diplomat, and cultural exchange was literally his job description. Within an hour, Reixara had mastered the mechanical execution. Within a day, she'd grasped the nuance. By the end of the week, she'd weaponized it. Now Chen couldn't walk through the station's diplomatic quarter without encountering her. She'd somehow learned his schedule, his habits, his favorite observation deck. Every coincidental meeting featured that damned smirk. The corner of her muzzle quirked just so, one ear cocked at a playful angle, her tail swishing with an intentional rhythm that the Vulpine cultural database had certainly never taught her. "Ambassador Chen," she purred, materializing beside him at the station's arboretum as he tried to enjoy his morning tea. What a pleasant surprise. It was never a surprise. Not anymore. Counselor Reixara. He nodded politely, keeping his expression neutral, though he was beginning to suspect that his legendary diplomatic poker face had met its match. She settled onto the bench beside him, far closer than Vulpine social protocols typically allowed. Her tail, accidentally, brushed against his leg. "I was reviewing human literature last night, romance novels specifically. Fascinating. Did you know that in 87% of them the male protagonist performs this smirking behavior before initiating courtship bonding?" Chen nearly choked on his tea. That's fiction, counselor. Entertainment, not documentary evidence." That smirk again, devastating in its execution. "Yet you taught me this expression. One might conclude you were initiating courtship protocols." "I was teaching cultural context, were you?" She leaned in and Chen caught the scent of something like cinnamon and autumn leaves. "Because our psychological division has been analyzing human nonverbal communication. Do you know what else they discovered? Humans often teach skills to potential mates as a bonding exercise. Sharing knowledge, they call it. Very intimate." You're deliberately misinterpreting, am I?" The smirk intensified. Chen was beginning to understand why humans had dominated galactic poker circuits. This was psychological warfare masquerading as flirtation. The worst part? She was good at it. Terrifyingly good. Other species had tried to decode human social subtlety before. The rigid Kravik had attempted sarcasm and somehow triggered 3 diplomatic incidents. The crystalline Lumini had tried humor and accidentally insulted an entire colony. But Reixara had understood something fundamental. Human communication wasn't just about the words or expressions. It was about timing, context, and the delicious tension of what remained unsaid. She'd become more human than humans in her execution. "Counselor," Chen said carefully, deploying his most official diplomatic tone, "while I appreciate your enthusiasm for human culture, Perhaps we should discuss appropriate professional boundaries. Oh? One vulpine eyebrow arched, another expression she'd learned from him. Are you saying there's a boundary between teaching and other forms of connection? How very human. To categorize, to compartmentalize. She stood, her tail trailing across his shoulders as she moved. Perhaps that's another lesson I should learn. Though I confess, Ambassador, I find your human contradictions fascinating. You teach me to communicate interest while pretending you have none yourself. She paused at the arboretum entrance, glancing back over her shoulder. The smirk she gave him then could have melted hull plating. Your heart rate increased by 23% during this conversation, she said sweetly. Our scanners are quite sophisticated. See you at the reception tonight, Ambassador. I'll be wearing that silk wrap you complimented last week, and then she was gone, leaving Chen alone with his now cold tea and the horrifying realization that he'd accidentally created a monster. A beautiful, infuriating, perfectly smirking monster who'd somehow learned the most dangerous human skill of all, making someone want to chase them without ever directly asking them to. His communicator chimed. A message from his aide. Sir, Counselor. Rishara has requested you as her personal escort for tonight's gala. She said, and I quote, He taught me to dance the human way. It would be rude not to practice. Should I accept on your behalf? Chen stared at the message, then at the empty space where Rexara had been standing. In the distance, he could have sworn he heard vulpine laughter. He'd introduced humanity's greatest social weapon to an alien species with better sensors, longer lifespans, and apparently endless patience. The Galactic Council was going to kill him. Worse, he was starting to look forward to that reception. He typed his response, accept. But add this to the cultural exchange report. Teaching aliens to smirk should be classified as a hazardous activity, possibly weapons grade. His aide's response came immediately. Sir, 5 other diplomats have filed similar reports. Apparently, Counselor Rixara has been teaching other vulpines. We may have started something. Chen closed his eyes. Humanity had survived first contact, interstellar war, and cosmic horror. But humanity teaching aliens to flirt? The galaxy would never be the same. And somewhere in the station, a fox woman smiled to herself. Not a smirk this time, but something genuine and warm, as she practiced her dance steps for that evening, wondering if the stubborn human would finally admit what his elevated heart rate had been telling her all along. After all, she was a very good student, and humans had so much more to teach.